I want you to imagine, just for a second, that you're trying to sell your house. But there's a catch.
Oh, there's always a catch.
Right. You haven't cleaned up at all. Like every single closet is just crammed full of disorganized junk.
Sounds a bit like my basement right now.
Yeah, exactly. The basement is an absolute disaster zone of, half-finished projects. And honestly, you actually don't even know where the deed to the property is.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's bad.
Right. Now, imagine walking a prospective buyer through that house. What actually happens? I mean, they're either going to run away screaming or they're going to severely lowball their offer.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
all they see is risk. They just see a massive headache.
Right, because they're mentally calculating the cost of fixing all your messes.
Hmm.
And worse than that, it kind of destroys their confidence in the actual foundation of the house itself.
Hmm.
Like, if you treat your closets like that, what on earth does the plumbing look like?
Exactly. And the reason we're starting with that specific image today is because behind the scenes, a shocking number of highly successful, multi-million dollar businesses operate exactly like that messy house.
It's true. It's really common.
So today, our deep dive into the source material is focused on how to actually fix that. We're looking at a pretty comprehensive blueprint from Black Lake Advisory on creating what's called a digital data room, or a DDR.
A DDR.
Our mission today is to really uncover exactly what a DDR is, why it's a critical tool for literally any business owner.
Not just the ones looking to sell right now.
Exactly. And, how you can construct one to maximize your company's valuation while minimizing your own daily operational headaches.
Yeah, because a digital data room is essentially how you professionally stage your business for the outside world.
Like staging the house.
Exactly like that. It's
Yeah.
this highly organized, really secure digital vault, and it contains every critical document, contract, financial statement, and, operational procedure that makes your company function.
Wow. Everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
You're basically proving to a buyer or an investor or even a bank that your house is pristine, inherently valuable, and just completely ready for a transaction.
Right. And the source for this is a single, incredibly detailed infographic guide from Black Lake Advisory.
It's super thorough.
It really is. They cover the psychology behind doing this, the actual folder by folder anatomy of a professional data room, and the mechanics of building it securely.
Right.
But before we get into the anatomy of the folders, I have to play devil's advocate here on behalf of anyone listening.
Sure, go for it.
Because, if I'm bogged down in the day-to-day grind, building this vault sounds like a massive, tedious administrative headache.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it does.
Right. So if I'm listening to this and thinking, well, I have no intention of selling my business for another 5 years, why shouldn't I just wait until a buyer actually shows up at my door to, gather all this stuff together?
Well, because if you wait until the buyer is literally at your door with a letter of intent, you've instantly placed yourself in a really reactive defensive posture.
Huh.
Selling a business is an incredibly invasive, high-stakes process. It's called due diligence.
Yeah.
And the buyer's team,
Which is what? Lawyers and accountants.
exactly, an army of lawyers and accountants,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to ask for a specific document, and you will have to just scramble to find it. You'll be stressed out, you'll make mistakes, and in the world of mergers and acquisitions, every single delay chips away at the buyer's confidence.
Wow.
And when confidence drops, the purchase price drops.
It's the messy closet again.
Yep.
They open the door, a bowling ball falls on their foot, and suddenly they're like reconsidering the entire neighborhood.
And you just handed them the leverage to demand a massive discount.
Man.
So the Black Lake Advisory Guide highlights 5 core benefits of doing this early.
Mm-hmm.
It reduces risk, increases value, saves time, builds confidence, and importantly, creates options.
Okay, so it's about shifting the power dynamic.
Exactly. By doing this work now, you shift from that defensive posture to an offensive one. You're essentially stress testing your own business.
Yeah.
Like, when you start pulling together your contracts and financial data in private, you're going to spot your own internal risks.
Before anyone else does.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You might find, oh, we have an expired vendor agreement, or, wow, we're missing an employee non-compete.
Oh, wow.
And you get to fix those things before anyone else ever sees them. You control the narrative.
Okay, so let's look at how we actually exert that control. Like, how is a professional data room structured so it builds that crucial buyer confidence instead of just, overwhelming them with a massive data dump?
Right, because you can't just dump it all in there.
Exactly. The blueprint states you cannot just throw everything into a shared cloud drive. They've actually organized the ideal data room into 18 specific numbered folders starting at 0.
Which is really smart.
Yeah. So folder 00 is called Transaction Overview, and it contains, let's see, the business overview, ownership structure, strategic summary, the reason for future sale, and growth highlights.
Hmm.
To me, folder 00 feels almost like the movie trailer for your business. Like it sets the narrative right up front.
That's a great way to put it.
Before they dive into all those dense spreadsheets, you're giving them the strategic highlight reel of why your company is amazing.
Yeah, it basically acts as the lens through which they should view the rest of the data.
Right.
If your strategic summary highlights, say, a plan for rapid geographic expansion, the remaining 17 folders better have the underlying data to actually support that narrative.
That makes sense. But eventually, a buyer is going to want to look past the movie trailer and see the raw math.
Oh, absolutely. They always want the math.
Right. So the guide splits the financial data into two distinct folders. Folder A1 is your standard financial information. Profit and loss statements, balance sheets, cash flow.
The basics?
Yeah, but folder O2 is called quality of earnings. So what is the
Alright.
difference between standard financials and quality of earnings, and why does it get its own dedicated space?
Well, folder O1 tells a buyer how much money you claim you made. Folder O2 tells them the truth and the actual sustainability of that money.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because buyers don't just care about your past profits. They care if those profits will actually continue after the current owner, leave the building.
I see. Well, I'm looking at the contents of folder O2, and there's a lot of heavy financial jargon in here.
Oh, yeah. It gets thin.
The guide mentions an EBITDA or SDE bridge and an add back schedule. So, for a listener who isn't, living and breathing M&A law every single day, what exactly are we talking about here?
Let's break those acronyms down because they are literally the lifeblood of business valuation.
Okay.
EBITDA stands for earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization.
Right.
And SDE stands for seller's discretionary earnings.
Okay, got it.
Both of these are really just fancy ways of calculating the true raw cash flow your business generates from its core operations.
So basically stripping away all the creative accounting.
Exactly. Stripping it all back. And the add-back schedule is where you prove that math.
How?
Well, in a private business, an owner might run certain personal expenses through the company. Say, a lease for a luxury car or, a country club membership.
Right. Pretty common.
Very common. But a new corporate buyer isn't going to pay for your country club.
Right.
So in folder O2, you create a schedule that adds back those expenses to your profit.
Hmm.
If your business showed $1 million in profit, but you had $100,000 in personal perks, your true adjusted earnings are $1.1 million.
Oh, wow.
And since businesses are valued on a multiple of their earnings, proving those add backs can literally put hundreds of thousands of extra dollars in your pocket at the closing table.
That is a massive return on investment for just organizing a folder.
Right. It really is.
Okay, so once a buyer is convinced your past profits are real and your math actually checks out, their immediate next fear has to be, well, will these customers leave the second I buy the company?
Oh, totally. That's always the next question.
Which forces us to look at how we prove retention.
And that takes us right into the revenue engine of the data room. So folder O4 covers customers and sales, focusing heavily on retention and churn rates. And then folder O5 covers contracts and agreements.
Which is basically the legal glue holding those customers in place.
Exactly. And notice how these two folders are intrinsically linked. Folder O4 shows who is actually buying from you.
Mm-hmm.
But if a buyer sees that, say, a huge percentage of your revenue comes from just 3 major clients, they're instantly going to jump to folder O5.
To see the actual contracts for those 3 clients.
Exactly. And if those contracts are month to month, or they have a clause saying the client can just leave if the ownership changes.
Oh man, the valuation just plummets.
Overnight, because you have high revenue concentration with 0 legal protection.
Wow, this really highlights why doing this early is so critical. Because I guess you could spot that weak contract like 2 years before you plan to sell and have time to negotiate a stronger multi-year agreement.
Precisely. You fix it before it's a problem.
All right, so moving from the customers to the people actually doing the work. Folders 06 through 10 cover what they call the engine room, so the internal operations. We're talking HR, operations, IT and cybersecurity, assets, and inventory.
Yeah, the nuts and bolts.
And I was looking at the HR and operations requirements, and I have to admit, it seems incredibly tedious. Like, they want every single version of an employee handbook, all the standard operating procedures, every compensation range.
It is a lot of paper.
Yeah, why does a buyer care about an outdated employee handbook from 3 years ago?
Because a single missing page in a 2021 employee handbook can trigger a massive labor compliance lawsuit that ruins a multi-million-dollar deal in 2026.
Wait, really?
Would say your old handbook had a poorly phrased policy about overtime, right?
Huh.
And it violated a specific state labor law.
Okay.
You fixed it in the 2024 version, which is great, but for 3 years, you were out of compliance.
Oh, no.
A buyer's legal team needs to know that, because if the employees sue for back pay, the new owner might be inheriting that liability. Yeah, they aren't just buying your current operations. They're buying the legal shadow of your past operations, too.
That makes total sense, and honestly, it's terrifying.
It should be.
I noticed a similar level of forensic detail in folder 10 for inventory. Like, the guide doesn't just ask for a basic inventory count. It specifically calls for a shrinkage report. What is a shrinkage report actually revealing to a buyer?
Shrinkage is just the retail and warehouse term for inventory that is lost, stolen, or damaged before it can ever be sold.
So stuff that just vanishes.
Exactly. It's product that just vanishes from the bottom line. So a shrinkage report tells a buyer about the operational discipline of your warehouse.
Oh, I see.
If your shrinkage number is unusually high compared to industry standards, it tells the buyer your internal controls are sloppy. Like, if you can't protect your physical inventory, what else are you losing track of?
That's a huge red flag. And it isn't just physical inventory they're worried about. The guide puts a huge emphasis on folder 08, which is IT and cybersecurity.
Oh yeah, this is huge now.
Right. 10 years ago, IT might have been an afterthought in a business sale. Like, just give me a list of laptop serial numbers. But now they want software licenses, access controls, and disaster recovery plans.
Well, because a business today is essentially a software company that happens to sell a physical product or service.
That's a good point.
If your disaster recovery plan consists of, like, a sticky note with a password on it, a buyer sees a massive liability.
Yeah.
I mean, a ransomware attack could halt operations entirely. They are buying your digital infrastructure. And if it's fragile, they will absolutely discount the purchase price to account for the cost of upgrading it.
Which leads us right into the final stretch of the blueprint: risk, compliance, and the future. This is folders 11 through 17. There are some pretty dense, specialized terms in these folders, and I want to decode them for the listener. We have folder 11 for real estate, folder 13 for insurance, and folder 14 for legal and litigation. Let's start with real estate.
Okay.
The guide asks for leases, rent schedules, and something called CAM reconciliations. Wait, what is a CAM reconciliation, and why am I showing it to a buyer?
And CAM stands for Common Area Maintenance.
Okay.
If you lease a commercial space, you don't just pay base rent. You pay a fluctuating share of the building's maintenance. So, snow removal, landscaping, parking lot repairs.
Right.
A CAM reconciliation is the annual document where the landlord proves those costs.
Ah.
A buyer needs to see this because CAM charges can wildly fluctuate. If the building needs a new roof next year, the buyer needs to know their overhead is about to spike. It's hidden overhead.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, what about folder 13, insurance? The guide specifically demands loss runs.
A loss run report is basically your business's driving record for insurance.
Oh, I like that analogy. So if it's full of speeding tickets...
Exactly. If your loss run report shows a history of constant workers' compensation claims or, a bunch of minor liability payouts, the buyer instantly knows their future insurance premiums are going to be through the roof. It paints a very clear picture of your safety culture.
And then in folder 14, legal, we have the demand for a list of liens.
Right. A lien is a legal claim someone else has on your property because you owe them a debt.
So like a loan.
Yeah, exactly. If you bought a massive piece of manufacturing equipment and financed it, the bank has a lien on it. You cannot sell the business cleanly until those liens are satisfied or accounted for in the transaction.
Okay, so gathering all of this, the loss runs, the liens, the past lawsuits, it feels like you're willingly handing over the skeletons in your closet.
It does feel that way.
Is there a risk that you're just, giving the buyer ammunition to negotiate you down?
Honestly, transparency is a strategy. If you organize this and disclose it right up front, you get to control the context.
How so?
You can say, yes, we had a spike in workers' comp claims 3 years ago, but here is the new safety protocol we implemented, and here is the data showing 0 claims since.
Oh, that's powerful.
Right. Because if you try to hide it, and their lawyers find it during due diligence, and they will absolutely find it, you lose all trust. And trust is literally the only currency that matters in a transaction.
Speaking of hidden liabilities, I really want to highlight Folder 17, Environmental and ESG, which stands for Environmental, Social, and Governance.
Yeah.
The guide wants hazardous materials reports and waste management audits. This feels like a very, I don't know, modern requirement.
Oh, it's becoming mandatory, especially if you're selling to a larger corporate buyer or like a private equity firm.
Right.
They have strict compliance mandates. If your business handles hazardous materials or even just operates on a large physical footprint,
Yeah.
buyers have to know you are fully compliant with environmental standards.
Because if they buy a contaminated property,
They legally buy the cleanup bill.
yeah.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay, so we have the architectural blueprint for the 18 folders, but having a blueprint is totally useless if you don't have a system to actually build the house. The guide lays out a very clear 6-step preparation process. Assess and plan, gather and organize, verify and clean up, store securely, review regularly, and be ready.
Hmm.
I really want to zero in on the verify and cleanup step because the guide highlights a specific document best practice that caught my eye.
Which one?
They mandate a strict naming convention for every single file. You have to name files, year, month, day, underscore description, .pdf. So YYYYY description .pdf.
It seems almost comically basic, doesn't it?
It does, but I'm thinking about the reality of a transaction. Like if a business owner just dumps a zip file on a buyer's legal team and the folder is just full of documents named Scan04 or, final contract view really final,
Oh, the worst.
I bet failing to use this basic date convention is exactly what causes a buyer's lawyer to charge an extra $10,000 in billable hours just clicking around hunting for the right file.
You are literally handing the buyer's legal team a blank check. I mean, in due diligence, you have accountants, environmental inspectors, industry consultants, and lawyers all crawling through thousands of pages.
Right.
If they cannot sort your files chronologically because your naming convention is just a complete mess, you are directly paying for their wasted time.
Ouch.
That simple YYYYMMDD date format ensures that no matter what operating system the buyer is using, every single file will instantly sort itself into a perfect chronological timeline.
That's brilliant.
It is a tiny administrative detail that removes a massive amount of friction.
Okay, so let's talk about where this vault actually lives. The security rules in the guide are pretty strict. Use secure cloud storage, restrict access, never share links or credentials. But the most fascinating security rule they mandate is this: enable activity tracking and audit logs.
Yes, this is crucial.
It says you have to know exactly who is looking at what document and when. Why is an audit log so crucial?
Because in a transaction, information is leverage. Imagine you're in the middle of a negotiation. The buyer is acting really nonchalant, claiming everything looks fine.
Right.
But you look at your audit log, and you see that the buyer's lead environmental lawyer just spent the last 48 hours exclusively downloading and reviewing your Folder 17 on environmental compliance.
Wow. So you know exactly what they're terrified of?
Precisely. You know they found something, or they're looking for leverage to drop the price based on an environmental risk. You have that intelligence before you even step into the next meeting.
That is so smart.
Audit logs basically give you an X-ray into the buyer's mindset. Furthermore, if a deal falls through, you need absolute, undeniable proof of what proprietary information they accessed, just to ensure they don't misuse your trade secrets or steal your client list from Folder 04.
I hadn't even thought of an audit log as an offensive negotiation tool.
It absolutely is.
So, to host this, the source recommends standard secure options like Box, Google Workspace, or Microsoft OneDrive. But they also call out specialized platforms like DataSite.
Yeah, if you are a smaller business just starting this habit,
Sure.
a properly structured Google Drive or OneDrive
Right.
with, really strict permissions is perfectly fine.
Okay.
But as you approach a highly sensitive, large-scale transaction, moving to an M&A-specific platform like DataSite provides those advanced audit logs, granular document watermarking, and the ability to instantly revoke access that standard cloud drives sometimes lack.
Got it. So, bringing this entire 18-folder blueprint back down to earth, what is the core philosophy here? The Black Lake Advisory Guide sums it up with a great footer. Preparation today creates opportunity tomorrow.
Exactly.
We've seen that building a digital data room is ultimately not just about selling a business. It's about moving out of a defensive reactive crouch and into a confident proactive stance where you actually understand the structural health of your own company.
And, if we look beyond just the immediate mechanics of a sale, there's a really profound implication for the future here.
Oh.
I want you to think about the trajectory of business operations and artificial intelligence.
Okay, where are we going with this?
Well, if you take the time to build this pristine, perfectly categorized, hyper-organized digital data room, you aren't just preparing for a human buyer.
Right.
You're actually creating the ultimate clean training data set for an AI.
Oh, wow. That is fascinating.
Right. Within a few years, a buyer might not send an army of lawyers to read your contracts. They might just feed your entire digital data room into an AI model to evaluate the health, risk, and valuation of your company in seconds.
That is wild.
Or, even better, you could use that same AI yourself. If your data is this clean, you could deploy an internal AI to run your own company's operations, spot inefficiencies in your shrinkage reports, and predict cash flow based on your perfect data history.
Wow.
The buyers of tomorrow might not just be buying your business, they might be buying the data model of how you run it.
Yeah.
And if your data is a messy closet, your model is worthless.
That is an incredible thought to leave on. You aren't just organizing files, you're structuring the very logic of your business for the future. Well, that wraps up our analysis of the Black Lake Advisory Blueprint. Stop treating your business like a messy house, start building your vault, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.